waiting for these for a minute. I even bought the premium guards, preparing for this. Didn't buy them for my old masters. I mean, even though I use them on my masters, I didn't buy them for these. I bought them for these. These really got to go into the collectors, you know, my collector's items. And they got to go down, you know, as what you call it. Today, Junior. These got a lot of sentimental value with these. You know, I'll do a video on this story, you know, a little later. But these were given to me by, you know, a very special barber, man. You know, my barber. And yeah, I'll give a story on these later. So about these right now. Been waiting for these for a long time, man. And wasn't quite ready for this investment. You know, you ready to just make a move? You ready to bet on yourself? You just gotta do things sometimes. And that's what I'm doing right now. I feel like my skills are stepping up a little bit, and it's time for, you know, the tools to match the skill level I'm trying to get to. That's where these come in handy. So. Ooh. All right, man.
One eternity later.
I say one thing, for the price, it would have been nice to get some guards with these.
Depot on the beat.
Alright, what's up, people? Alright, I'm gonna give y'all a quick story on those Cordless Andis Masters. I'm in my work truck right now, man. Yeah, story on, I got those Andis Masters from my barber, my current barber right now. His name is Jeremy, goes by Barber Motif on Instagram. And I'll put a link in the description for that, man. You can check out his work. Yeah, a quick story on how I know him. We used to go to the same church when we were younger. I want to say from like middle school ages up through high school. You know, of course, you know, he got older. You know, lost contact. Didn't see him for a few years until I was doing an apprenticeship with my uncle. I think I was about 20, and you know, I just so happened to bump into him, you know, out somewhere. And, you know, we chopped it up, just, you know, talk about what we were doing. I think he was in the HVAC at the time. In the HVAC apprenticeship. And, you know, I was telling him, you know, I was in the apprenticeship for cosmetology. You know, even though I'd started barbering on my own, you know, I got an apprenticeship for cosmetology under my uncle. Daryl Queen. I give a whole story on that one, man. That's one I want to do a whole separate video for. But anyway, that was in an apprenticeship for cosmetology, and I was just explaining to him why, me as, I consider myself a barber at the time, why I chose to do cosmetology and blah, 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 just, broke all that down to him. And, it was a good conversation, and for whatever reason, we just, we still didn't, we didn't keep in contact. And fast forward some years, man, I had locks a few years ago, and I was tired of them, just tired of having locks, just tired of dealing with everything about them, other than, me looking good with them. So I was looking for a barber. I had gone through 3 barbers, and still wasn't satisfied with, with the results I was getting, after I cut my hair. And just so I happened to ask my cousin, who his barber was, and he gave me a number to this guy, Jeremy. So, I'm not thinking anything of it. I couldn't even remember his last name. He gave me his whole name. I couldn't remember. I'm like, all right, cool. I called him, set an appointment with him, a couple days later. And, I get to the barbershop, and lo and behold, is Jeremy. I'm like, oh, snap. Like, what's up, yo? Like, Jeremy? Like, you the Jeremy that been cutting Chris's hair? He's like, yeah. And, we talking, come to find out I think he was cutting at least 4 of my cousin's hair for years. And, I'm like, tripping. I'm like, damn, like, yo, you a barber. I'm like, okay, that's what's up, man. Like, how long you been doing this? And he tells me that he got into barbering, like, within a year of us talking from the last time we talked about me being in the apprenticeship. And he said, just talking about what I was doing, he wasn't totally satisfied with being in HVAC. And, he was like, man, he got out of there and found someone to apprentice under and has been doing it ever since. And I'm like, that's crazy how life worked like that, man. Like, I mean, yeah, I didn't, I didn't stick to it at the time. But to think that, just a, conversation about what I was into, sparked his interest in the barbering. And he got into it, stuck to it. Years later, I'm looking for a barber, and here Jeremy is, And it turned out, I mean, not just because I was, happy that it was somebody I knew. I'm like this guy did, out of 3 other barbers, man, this guy did, a fade. I'm trying to remember the cut I had at the time. Yeah, I think it asked for a low fade, and with the cruddy on top, curly. That's a Baltimore slang here, but with the curly top, man, and it was on point, man. I'm like, yo, this is a blessing, man. Like, somebody I know, I was cool with before, and somebody who I'm not sure, like, just from a conversation, I guess I helped him spark the interest in what he does for a living. And I mean, shit, I was hooked. I'm like, man, for one, it's always a blessing just to be able to find a barber that can do the cut that you want, the right type of cut. I mean, a whole nother thing, man, you got an actual person that a good person that you're cool with, man, and that you can lock with. So fast forward, a couple more years, man, not only was Jeremy good at cutting my hair, but I mean, like, just our short conversations, man, he usually doesn't take more than 20 minutes to cut my hair. But in that 20 minutes that I sit in the chair, them short conversations we had, I mean, like, it's something I walk out of that chair every day feeling like I left the therapy session. And, we talk about a lot of things, just, figuring out our purposes and, our responsibility is, as men, and, family life, stuff like that. And long story short, I got to a point where I was hurt at the job I'm currently working now. I was out for like a month and a half, something like that. And I was just getting tired of, always being injured on the job, and, physical work breaking me down. And I'm like, I don't want to be that guy, 45, 50 years old, can barely walk, because, I done beat my body up doing the type of work I do right now. So I was trying to figure out what I could do to, things that I was good at that I can get into and make a living out of and enjoy what I'm doing at the same time. So, long story short, man, like, you know, through conversations with Jeremy, and, you know, at the same time, while I was looking for certain cuts through YouTube and Instagram to figure out what cuts would fit in my head, is, you know, you see, I don't really have the best hairline or anything, but trying to find cuts that would fit me, you know, that sparked the interest. Like, damn, like, you know, damn, I miss this. Like, I'm looking at, you know, these guys, you know, these tutorials and all, and I'm supposed to just be looking for certain cuts that fit me, but I got hooked into, you know, the process, you know, getting to the end result. And, you know, I think I mentioned it to Jeremy, and, you know, I mean, he just mentioned to me that, you know, how, you know, he always wondered, you know, how far I might have gotten into, you know, the hair industry and what I was doing, because, you know, at the time, like I told him, I was into barbering, but I was also going for my cosmetology license. So, you know, I think about that myself, like, you know, how far, you know, would I have been had I stuck to it? And I'm like, all right, you know, I ain't no about that. Like, what would happen if I get into it now? Like something I've always, you know, I've never really lost the love for it. But, you know, just through life and circumstances and all, I just, you know, just got away from it. You know, it got away from me. So, I mean, like I said, through conversations with Jeremy, and, you know, I eventually made the decision that I was going to get back into hair. And, I mean, that's, you know, it's been 2 years now, just about 2 years since I've been back into it. It's no turning back, man. No turning back. I think one thing I was missing from when I stopped before, when I was younger, aside from not being focused, that even when you got a passion for something, it takes work for you to really, you know, appreciate, you know, what it is that you're passionate about. And, you know, just because of, you know, not being focused and, you know, life, you know, I was, you know, getting more into my manhood and realizing things were getting harder as far as just taking care of myself. It was harder for me to focus on my passion. And, you know, when you add partying and all that stuff on top of it, you know, it's just not a good mix. So now, as, you know, I'm 34 when I got back into it, I'm 36 now. Yeah, I fully understand, man. Like, you really got to put the work into your passion to appreciate what your passion is, you know, and what your passion can bring you. But I got to go back to meeting up with Jeremy. Our conversation 16 years ago to where we are now, man. Like, you know, Jeremy helped spark that passion again, you know, to get back into the hair industry. And when I told him I was getting back into it, sometime later, you know, we were just talking about different clippers, you know, and, you know, I don't know, he said, you know, about the Andis Masters. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm like, that was, you know, I think that was the first pair of clippers I ever bought. You know, don't know what I did with my first pair. I'm like, yeah, I think that's the first pair of clippers I actually paid for. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm like, that's one of my favorites, you know. I'm like, yeah, you know, I'll probably give me a pair at some point. And he's like, well, he's like, man, I got a pair at home I don't use anymore. You know, I'll just, you know, I'll bring them in and let you know when I'm here. You can come by and pick them up. Like, man, like, he don't know. Like, man, I had to hold back the thug tear, man. Like, I was really, you know, it touched me. I'm like, you know, he don't, you know, barbers, like, you know, he don't have to do that, man. I notice there's a lot of competition amongst barbers and all, and, you know, he didn't have to do that. Like, he could have looked at it like, you know, Brandon's getting back into it, you know, he messed around, take my customers later on, and, you know, blah, blah. Like, no, you know, it was nothing like that. He's like, you know, genuinely was like, you know, happy that I was getting back into it, and, you know, free of charge, gave me a pair of Andis Masters, man. I mean, if you know anything about the Masters, quartered or not, staple in the community, man. Staple in the hair community, you know. I mean, probably some of the best clippers of all time. And, you know, he gave them to me, man. And I, you know, I wanted to put this story out there just to show appreciation to Jeremy. You know, if, you know, whenever you see this, Jeremy, you know, I mean, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate it. That was big for me. And make sure I hold on to those and keep up with them, you know, for sure. But yeah, I wanted to share this, man, because, you know, just let you know, something my uncle always says, you know, my family, like, they, you know, the best thing you can do is, you know, to pass down information pass down what you know to people, you know, to help people, just, you know, help people in general, man. And yeah, man, Jeremy, I appreciate you, man. If y'all able to help anybody out, you know, whatever industry you in, and man, you don't do that, man. You never know, you know, what those people may turn out to be. So I know I got a vision, man. I you know, I can't totally explain it to other people, man, but I see big things, you know, for myself and for anybody that sticks with me, man. So yeah, I appreciate y'all listening, man. I know I drug that story out a little bit, but yeah. Thanks for listening.